ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि। कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलम्। आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम्। दक्षिणे लक्ष्मणो यस्य वामे च जनकात्मजा पुरतो मारुतिर्यस्य तं वन्दे रघुनन्दनम्। Let me make a small adjustment here. All right, 1 second. There you go. Much better. Okay. Yeah, we've been meeting after 2 weeks. I hope you remember where we had ended last time when we met. We had ended at the killing of Makaraksha, the son of Khara. And so naturally, the news came back to Ravana and his team that Makaraksha has been killed. And Makaraksha was a very formidable opponent to the Vanaras. So we're starting from chapter 80. Believe it or not, we have covered 80 chapters in Yuddha Kanda already. 79. Makaraksham hatam shrutva Ravana samitinjayah Roshena mahata vishto Dantan katakatayacha Kupitascha tada tatra
തുടങ്ങിയില്ലേ?
Karyamiti chintayan
നിന്റെ
Adi
വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നില്ല അല്ലേ?
Buddho Randrajit Sutam. You're saying something? I can't hear you. You can't hear me? Yeah, you can't hear me? We're good, right?
Yes, Prabhuji, we can hear you.
Okay. So, Makaraksham hatam shrutva Ravana samitinjayah roshena mahata vishto. Mahata avishto. Mahat avishto. He got this surge of anger such that Dantan katakatayacha. Katakata, this is in English, we call it onomatopoeia, where the sound of the word describes the action. So, katakataya, he was grinding his teeth with anger such that you could hear the katakata sound. Katakatayacha kupitascha tada tatra kim karyam iti chintayan. In his anger, he was now wondering what to be done. And in that anger, he finally gave orders to his dear, mightiest warrior, Indrajit, who's stronger, more mightier than Ravana. Adi dishe, Adideshath, he ordered, Samkruddho, in intense anger. Ranaye, he ordered that you should go to the battle. Indrajitam Sutam, his own son Indrajit. And he sent his son into the battlefield with instructions. Jahi Veera, oh great hero, Veera, Jahi, just finish, kill. Mahaviryo, Bhratarao Rama Lakshmanao. Interesting, he calls his son Veera, but he calls Rama Lakshmana Mahavira. Mahaviro, Bhratarao, those two brothers, Rama Lakshmanao. Adrushyo Drushyamanova, Sarvatha Tvam Baladhikaha. Whether you are visible or invisible, doesn't matter which, this way or that way, because among everybody else, Sarvatha Tvam Bala Adhika, you are greater in strength. Actually, he's not necessarily greater in strength, he's greater in trickery. He's greater in not fighting the war in a way that is fair. Let's call it that way. Although one may say everything is fair in love and war. But that saying is not applicable in a Vedic standpoint. This is dharma. Lord Ramachandra is the dharmo vigravahan Veera. He's the embodiment of dharma. And he's saying baladhika because you have trickery. Adrushyo drushyamanova. You can be invisible or visible, but exercise your extreme strength. In fact, you have even conquered Indra in battle. Then what to speak of these ordinary human beings? Easily, vadhishyasi samyuge, you will kill them in battle. Indrajit bowed down to his father, having been given this order by Ravana, and poured ghee and other items into a sacred fire. Because before he goes out, he has to perform his puja to gain strength. And as he's pouring these oblations, ghee, blood, other things, there were female Rakshasis, attendants, who were all carrying red turbans and were moving back and forth in a flurry, as if they're very busy, and Ravana's son would need one of these things at any given point in time. And the Yajna pit, it's called Vedika. Yajna Vedika is usually surrounded by certain grass, shara grass. Instead, there were lances and spears that were surrounding the Vedika. And there were chips of wood from the Bibhitaka tree. And these sticks were also kept in place, and instead of certain type of wood, there were red color robes and iron ladles. Usually it's a wooden ladle. It's called sruva. In this case, it is iron ladles. Sruva. Sruva is that, if you see in a yajna, the pujari, when he's saying swaha, he's pouring through a certain shaped wooden ladle. In this case, he used iron ladles. And he took a live black goat. Sarvakrishnasya. Sarvakrishna means is black everywhere. Chagasya Sarvakrishnasya galam galam jagraha jivitaha. He was alive, and while it was alive, he held the goat with its jugular vein, like that. And as it is alive, he threw it into the fire. And immediately the fire burnt in a smokeless way, indicating a good omen, indicating that he will gain strength, perhaps even victory. Lingani Vijayam Darshayanti cha. Vijayam Darshayanti. It forebode victory for Indrajit. At that time, suddenly from the fire appeared Agni Devata himself and received offerings from Indrajit. Now, in a yajna, if it is done properly, regardless of who's doing it, the devatas are obliged to come. So he came because he is called Hutashana, Huta Ashana, one who eats the offerings. He is also called the one who carries the offerings to the devatas and to Lord Vishnu. So in this case, he accepted. And Indrajit, after finishing the yajna, got on a splendid chariot. And the chariot had the power that as soon as he sat and gave orders, it could become invisible. And this chariot was drawn by 4 horses. The whole chariot was filled with shafts like spears and lances and other darts. A very mighty bow was placed on it. And the whole chariot looked so charming. Shushube Syanandauttamaha. Aropita Mahachapa. He got onto this along with a very powerful bow. And all around where he stood, the chariot, because it was made of gold, fine gold, the weapons were shining, he was shining, the flag post was shining, everything looked so shining. Valmiki says, Jajvalyamano Vapusha, Tapaniya Parichada. Tapaniya. It looked like molten gold that was bright to look at. The chariot's body was decorated with rings of gold. Jambu Lada Maha Kambu. Kambu is also means neck sometimes. But Kambu also means tubes or circular items. Jambu Lada, made of gold. And he looked like a flame, like a burning fire, so effulgent, resplendent. And the chariot itself was as bright as a sun. And on his chariot he carried the Brahmastra. And he's always referred, and he's referred to, this is the first time, instead of Indrajit, he's being referred to as multiple times as Ravani. Ravani means the son of Ravana. So he comes out of the gates of Lanka in full enthusiasm, power, great vigor that he wants to kill Rama, Lakshmana, and everyone else. And he's as he's leaving, he's uttering all the mantras for Nirriti. Nirriti is the southwestern direction, I think, which is presided over by Rakshasas. And Indrajit started to brag about himself so that his people can say, yeah, Jai, Jai, Indrajit, wonderful, wonderful, let's do it. So he's boasting, Adya, today, Hatva Rane Yautau Mithya Pravrajitau Vane. Today I'm going to kill those 2 human beings, mortals after all, who have been living in the forest. Pravrajita, one who's been moving around in the forests, Vane. Jayam Pitre Pradasyami Ravanaya Raneyadhikam. I am going to offer victory to my father. Jayam Pitre, unto my father. Pradasyami, I am going to offer Ravanaya, unto Ravana. Rane Adhikam, in this great mighty war. Adya Nirvanara Mukhim. Nirvanara. I am going to rid the entire earth of Vanaras. Hatva Ramam cha Lakshmana. Karishye Paramam Pritim. I am going to make my father exceedingly delightful. And saying like that, Ityuktva antardhiyata. He became invisible. Right? Where's Indrajit? Nobody could see. And he's ready for war. So this invisible Indrajit went on into the battlefield with all of his weapons and in a rush started firing towards Rama and Lakshmana. And as he's entering in the battlefield, firing arrows here and there, he saw Rama and Lakshmana. Each of them looked like a three-hooded serpent. Sa dadarsha Mahaviryau Nagau Trishirasaviva. Trishirasau Iva. As if they are two snakes, each with three hoods. Where are the three hoods? How is he seeing three hoods? So one hood is the face or head of Rama. One hood is the bow that Ramachandra is carrying, that is curved like this, that looks like a hood of a snake. And the other is his quiver. The bow is on this side, his own head, and the quiver that is full of arrows look like another hood. And same for Lakshmana. So he's like, oh, these heroes. And then he concluded, oh, they were just two princes, not snakes, these mighty snakes there. And he started releasing arrows as if a torrential cloud releases rain. We could not see between the raindrops. And he was invisible. So Ram and Lakshmana can only see stream of arrows coming towards them from some invisible source. And one after the other, the arrows were hitting Rama and Lakshmana. At the same time, these two are also fitting their bows with arrows and shooting towards that source, but they can't see anybody because Indrajit is invisible. And so many mystic missiles Indrajit was releasing, each shining and effulgent like the sun, coming towards these two, and full of conjuring tricks. So he was going everywhere. Arrows were coming from all directions. Rama Lakshmana did not know where these are coming from. And so they became enveloped not only with arrows, with his magic or conjuring of tricks or trickiness, there was darkness on the battlefield, accompanied by smoke. You've seen war scenes. One side of the army will explode a smoke bomb, and in that smoke bomb, the opponent cannot see, and that's when very quickly the soldiers will move. So this guy, with his tricks, put out a darkness with smoke and obscured the sky and made all directions invisible so they could not see. It was as if they were covered by fog everywhere. Just last weekend, we drove back from Chicago. It was raining so heavily, torrential rain. Hemangi was driving. We could not see the car ahead of us beyond 10 feet. If the car is about 10 feet, we could see the tail lights. Otherwise, we could not see anything. We were enveloped in a sheet of water. Heavy rain. And not for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. That rain continued for 4 hours. She drove right through. Slow, but just kept driving. So this conjuring of the environment is such that Rama, Lakshmana, Vanaras could not see anything. And yet they are trying to fight while they're being attacked constantly by steel arrows that were piercing into their body. So meanwhile, Rama, Lakshmana are also shooting back arrows somehow because they're experts. So because they're still fighting, Indrajit becomes very, very angry. Sa Ramam Surya Sankashau Sharair Datta Varair Brisham Vivyada Samare Kruddha Sarvagatreshu Ravanihi. Ramachandra is fighting Indrajit became very angry at Sri Ramachandra and so picked up certain weapons that were shining like the sun, which he had received because of a boon. The Valmiki doesn't tell us which particular boon or by whom, but he had received them from a boon or because of a boon, and started shooting these arrows back at Rama and Lakshmana. While Rama Lakshmana are also shooting without knowing where he is, but the arrows are hitting Indrajit as well. They are so experts. Rama Lakshmana are shining and glowing themselves and firing arrows, a certain type of weapon called bhalla, and shooting back on Indrajit. These two sons of Dasharatha, they were directing excellent missiles, and or just in the direction from which the arrows are coming. So Indrajit, the son of Ravana, was a better chariot warrior, Maharatha. In his own chariot, started shooting such formidable arrows that Rama Lakshmana are now fully pierced with arrows all over their body. And they're all golden arrows that pierced them and blood oozing out of them, that their entire body looked reddish, just like a blossoming Kimshuka tree. Kimshuka is like a gulmohar tree that has reddish flowers. And in spring, the entire crown of the tree is reddish looking. You can barely see green leaves anyway. So these two had so much blood throughout their body that they looked like a blossoming Kimshuka tree. Na asya vega gatim kaschin na rupam dhanushara na chasya viditam kinchit suryasya bhrasam plave suryasya iva ivabhra samplave. They could not figure out where the arrows are coming from, nor they could have understood anything about Indrajit's conjuring and tricky. Just like, I'm sorry, it looked as if when there are dark clouds and behind the clouds there is sun, you can see some light, but you cannot tell exactly where the sun is. You know it is daytime. You know the sun is there. You just can't spot the location of the sun. That is how Indrajit was. And Indrajit was not only fighting Rama and Lakshmana, he was shooting hundreds of arrows towards the Vanaras, and they were dying in hundreds, in every instance. Hundreds and hundreds were just being killed. Shata Shatastra Patita. Shatashastra. Shatashastatra. In hundreds. Shatashat means in hundreds. One after the other, they were all dying. Lakshmana became very angry. How dare Indrajit kill so many Vanaras that are engaged in Rama's service? Lakshmanastu tatakrudho bharatram vakyam abravit. He spoke to his brother Sri Ramachandra. Brahmastram prayokshami vadartham sarvarakshasam. I will invoke the Brahmastra and kill all the Rakshasas. Not just Indrajit, not just those who are on the battlefield, but every Rakshasa that is in existence anywhere in the universe. Finish all of them. That was his anger. Tam uvacha tato Ramo Lakshmanam Subhalakshanam. Naikasya hate rakshamsi prithivyam hantumarhasi. Na ekasya hato. Because you want to kill one Rakshasa, O Lakshmana, it is not advisable to kill all the Rakshasas in the universe, even those who are not fighting the battlefield. I don't think that's a good idea. That is not how one should fight. Ayudhyamanam prachannam paranjalim sharanagatam palayamanam mattam va nahantum tvamarhasi. You should not kill somebody who is ayudhyamanam, who is without weapons in his hands. So it's not equal fight then. Or prachannam, one who is hiding. You cannot go and kill someone who is hiding. Paranjalim sharanagata, or if they have come to you with their hands folded, sharanagata, you cannot kill such a person. So, or one who is palayamanam, one who is intoxicated. In an intoxicated condition, you cannot kill them. Mattam va, palayamanam mattam va nahantum. So these are the rules by which you cannot violate these rules. So I will make an attempt to kill Indrajit, O Lakshmana. Let's keep fighting these mystic missiles that he's shooting at us, and each of them hits us like the bite of a venomous serpent. As soon as our commanders, the monkey commanders, will see him, they were very, very skilled, will kill him. Yet, he is, because of his conjuring and magic trick, we cannot see where he is. That's part of the difficulty. But when I release mystic missiles towards uh, Indrajit, even if he goes into the nether regions or enters the heaven, even if he's hidden, he will not escape my arrows. So let's continue fighting. So they continue. Now, after this amount of fight, Indrajit suddenly went back into Lanka because Rama Lakshmana were fighting with great intensity. And thinking how many Rakshasas Rama Lakshmana and other Vanaras are killing, in his anger, his eyes bloodshot, went back into Lanka because he had something going on in his mind. He entered Lanka back through the western gate. And then, when he saw Rama Lakshmana fighting like that, what he did is he brought Sita on the chariot. And with a huge army surrounding his chariot with Sita in it, he went back into the battlefield. And as he is coming back and fighting, Hanuman saw Indrajit come out of the western gate. So Hanuman picked up a mighty mountain that other Vanaras could not pick up. Hanuman, who's like the elephant among the monkeys, leading that Vanara army, rushed towards Indrajit. Sa dadarsha hatanandam Sitam Indrajito Rathe Ekaveni Dhara Dinam Upavasa Krishananam Parikrishtaika Vasanam
హరివో
Vrajam. Yeah.
చేయమన్నా తినకూడదు మరి
Raghava Priyam.
దోశ పిండి ఉంది చపాతీలు నిన్న ప్రసాదం కూడా
Somebody is unmuted. If you can mute yourself.
షుగర్ లో అయింది కదా మళ్ళీ అట్లే వండుకుంటే ఇంకా లో అయిపోతుంది.
I don't want to call your name out. Please mute yourself. Can you check if you're muted? I'm muting you now. There you go. Just at that climax point where Sita Devi is there and Hanuman is seeing her. So this is how Hanuman saw her. Sa Dadarsha, he saw her. Hata Anandam. There was no Sitam Indrajito Rathe. He saw Sita in Indrajit's Ratha. Ekaveni Dhara. She had just one braid. Deenam. She looked helpless. Upavasa Krishananam. And her face looked all emaciated because of fasting. Pariklishtai, all wrinkled. Ekavasanam mrajam, and it was all filled with dirt. One piece of cloth that she was wearing. Raghava Priyam, the darling of Sri Ramachandra. Rajo Malabhyam Aliptai, she was covered with Raja, dust. Sarvagatrair Varastriyam, Sarvagatrair, entire body was covered with dust and dirt, and Varastriyam, she's the best among all women. So Hanuman saw her in Indrajit's chariot. And gazing, while this fight's going on, Indrajit is coming in. Hanuman is gazing and saying, yeah, that is Sita, the daughter of Janaka. And seeing Sita in this whole condition and Indrajit bringing her, Hanuman, leading the entire army of monkeys, rushed towards Indrajit. Hanuman is very, very angry. How dare Indrajit bring Sita onto a chariot like that into the middle of the war? And as he's rushing towards Indrajit with anger, looking at it, Indrajit held Sita's hair up like this, picked up his sword, and that Sita Devi is crying out, Rama, Rama. Tam striyam pashyatam tesham tadayamasa rakshasa. Tadayamasa. He was beating her. Kroshantim Rama Rama iti. And she was loudly crying out, Rama, Rama, dropping tears of agony from her eyes. When Hanuman saw this, that Indrajit was beating Sita Devi, holding her head on the top. It's very disrespectful to hold a woman's hair like that. Even Dushasana held Draupadi's hair and brought her, and that is why Dushasana was killed by Bhima. That you never disrespect a woman first, but to hold her hair like that and is very, very disrespectful. So while Hanuman is rushing, he's looking at Sita, crying, he himself became so agonized that Hanuman started to cry and became very afflicted with sadness. Dukhajam vari netrabhyam utsrajan marutatmachaha. Dukhajam, born out of sadness. Vari, tears or water. Netrabhyam utsrujan, his tears, his eyes were tearing, and there's a stream of tears. Marutatmajaha. He's looking at this darling of Ramachandra, Sita Devi, in Indrajit's hands. At that time, Hanuman chastised Indrajit. Duratman, oh, horrible fellow. How can you behave like this? Brahmarshinam Kule Jato. You're born in the line of Pulastya. Pulastya is the mind-born son of Lord Brahma. So Brahmarshinam Kule Jato, Rakshasim Yonim Ashrita. And your mother's side is from Rakshasi. Chi. Dik Tvam. Papa Samacharam. Dik. All I curse you. It's not curse, but it's like saying chi, thik. This is what Ravana also told. Dhik tvam kulapam sanaha. So he said, Dhik tvam papa samacharyam yasya te matir idrishi. What kind of intelligence is this? Matir idrishi. Chi. Nushamsa anarya. Nushamsam anarya. Nushamsa cruel. Anarya. Uncivilized. Durvrutta, bad character. Kshudra, a very low-minded fellow. Papa, Parakrama. You're like the king of sinful people. Anaryasya idrusham karma. This is very uncivilized activity. Grana te nasti nirgrana. You have absolutely no pity in you. You're such a ruthless fellow. That Sita Devi has been taken away from her home, her kingdom, and the protection of Sri Ramachandra. What has she done? What wrong has she done to you or to anyone? Huh? If you behave like that with Sita, oh Indrajit, you will not live long in my hands. I will kill you immediately. I will take away your life. While he is chastising Indrajit, Hanuman is still chastising him in different ways. Indrajit holding Sita's hair with a sword in his hand, looking at Hanuman, cut her body from the left shoulder to the right hip, like a Brahman threads Yagyopavita is on a Brahmana's shoulder. In that direction, he cut off this body of Sita Devi. And Hanuman, oh, and then he said, oh, just see, this supposed Vaidehi, darling of Ramachandra, princess of Videha, she's dead. All your reason for fighting, the reason you're in Lanka, the reason all of you are fighting has been eliminated by me. Now, there is nothing you can do. In fact, there is no reason to fight anymore. Indrajit loudly shouted, roared with joy, with his mouth so wide open that everybody could hear. He was sitting comfortably on his chariot and was returning back into Lanka. And then all the Vanaras saw and just started to run here and there in all directions because they've completely been bewildered by what Indrajit has done. Hanuman became so sad, miserable, alarmed, and didn't know what to do. What else the reason? So the entire zeal, enthusiasm to fight, the whole fight was to gain Sita Devi back. Hanuman said, and he saw all of his team is also running away. So he told them, why are you running away? Don't give up your valor like this. Come back. Let's fight. In fact, you should not leave a battle like that. Yet nobody had a reason to continue fighting. So, because Hanuman is still the warrior, the leader, trying to inspire his army, his team, the Vanaras turned back, plucked trees and mountain tops, and rushed back at the Rakshasas. And the Vanaras and the Rakshasas are fighting like anything in the middle of this. Now Hanuman's anger has become so intense that he is just completely annihilating the Rakshasa army. He himself was like a flaming fire. In fact, Valmiki says that Hanuman looked like Yamaraj himself had descended onto the battlefield. And Hanuman is not only in grief, but also in a lot of anger. And very picked up a mighty boulder and hurled it at Indrajit's chariot. Satu shokena chavishtaha kopena mahata kapihi. Hanuman Ravani Rathe Mahatim Pataya Patayat Chilam through a massive boulder. Now, the charioteer, Indrajit's charioteer saw this rock coming at high speed towards him. took the chariot to a side to somehow try and not be crushed under that rock. That rock did not hit Indrajit's chariot or Indrajit. It went to the ground. But when it hit the ground, it hit with such intensity because Hanuman is angry that it crushed hundreds of Rakshasas, entered down into the earth somewhere and split open the earth where it fell, made a massive crater. Then the Vanaras in hundreds, groups of hundreds, rushed towards Indrajit, holding trees and mountain tops, and they started throwing whatever they could towards Indrajit on the battlefield. Now Indrajit was being hit on all sides by the monkeys, their trees, the weapons that they were, the rocks that they were throwing, and Indrajit is very quickly discharging hundreds of arrows to not only sally forth and deflect what was being thrown at him, but also killing hundreds and hundreds of Vanaras right from his bow and other uh, weapons that he was releasing. Now, at this time, the news has not even gone to Ramachandra. Hundreds of monkeys are being killed. Hanuman, who himself is, of course, very, very strong, picking up trunks of sal trees and he was throwing them. Now, at this time, there were so many monkeys that were being hit by the Rakshasa army and Indrajit that Hanuman loudly shouted, "Retreat, everybody! Turn around and go away." This army of Indrajit need not be conquered anymore because the daughter of Janaka, for whom we've been trying to fight all this while, has been killed. So there is no need to continue this fight. Just let's inform Rama, Sugriva, and they will tell us what to do. And so when Hanuman was withdrawing to the place where Rama and Lakshmana were, Indrajit went into his palace, a place that holds sanctuary. It's called Nikumbila, and there performed a special yajna. And in that yajna, not only ghee was being poured, but blood was being poured. And as the blood and ghee were being poured in large quantities, the fire swelled up so big. And it looked like the evening sky. Now, what was the reason for performing this yajna in Nikumbila? For the prosperity of the Rakshasas in general. And he was doing it according to the proper method. Vidhina. Vidhina. Vidhanavat. Vidhanavit. He knew what is the right procedure. It's not just some fiery pouring yajna and he thinks that that is proper. No. He's following scripture, if you will, or the text of how to perform these kinds of yajnas, especially to gain victory over their enemies. And all the Rakshasas, now feeling inspired, stood surrounding Indrajit. The news is now going to go to Sri Ramachandra, which we will hear next week. So let's see if there's any comment, question. Oh, I should break the mystery. This Sita Devi is not the real Sita Devi. She is a phantom Sita Devi because Indrajit is excellent with magic tricks. It is just a phantom, an image, not even Maya Sita, an image of Sita that looked so exactly like Sita that Hanuman also said, "Oh, that is Sita Devi." So exact replica of Sita Devi, a phantom's image that he killed to make the entire army feel loss of enthusiasm to continue fighting, and Hanuman fell for that trick. Because and it's not like you have time to think through it, all happening so quickly and at such speed while they're fighting. And this was just a trick. It's not Sita, actual Sita. It's just a phantom, an image of Sita. But that trick worked. It worked. That Hanuman and all of his army became, oh, no reason to fight anymore. And the message is going to go to Sri Ramachandra, and we will hear how he takes that news. You can imagine, he doesn't take that news well at all. Ramachandra, as soon as he hears the news, just passes out. Like a tree that has been cut at the root falls, he fell. We'll hear the details later. Any thoughts, comments, reflections, questions? No? That's okay. Sounds good. Until we meet next week. Thank you for being here. Thank you for inspiring me. Although we haven't met in 2 weeks, I thought maybe none of you would come back. Seems like you've come back. I take it as your interest in Sri Sitarama, Sri Ramakatha. So thank you for inspiring me. Until we meet again. So until then, let's take strength from the point that in the course of life, sometimes we get some really joyful news. Sometimes we get not so joyful news. Sometimes we're very strong. Sometimes we're very weak. Sometimes we fall for tricks, the illusion that makes us lose. Illusion means it's imaginary. We imagine scenarios. We imagine what the others is thinking, what they might have said, what they may say, and none of it may be true, but it's all imagined. And in that imagination, we create scenarios in which our anger will arise, some sadness will come, some emotion that takes us down and makes us lose our enthusiasm for continuing to serve Sri Rama. We may become uninspired, angry, upset. And this is exactly how that Maya, Phantom Sita, not Maya Sita, Phantom Sita that Indrajit brought and completely shocked Hanuman and others. And so that imaginary situations cause a slight bump or a dip. So it's better to get clarity of the reality and catch oneself moving towards this imagined reality that doesn't exist, so that our enthusiasm is vibrant and strong. Shri Sitarama Lakshman Hanuman Ji ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Thank you for all of you for being here. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo